Cloaked in the shadows.
Okay, Amanda, what are we doing today?
We're doing Cloaked in the Shadows, episode 4.
Yeah. What is Cloaked in the Shadows?
It's a paranormal and strange podcast which looks at all kinds of strange and abnormal things.
And the downright weird.
Yeah, my favourite.
Yeah, when people are wondering, Amanda loves the downright weird when we do this podcast. Now, we have guests as well, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, who's the guest?
Ruth O'Reilly.
Yeah, Ruth. Now, obviously, the main bulk interview today is going to be the chat with Ruth O'Reilly. We met Ruth the other week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Now, this is recorded in the Central Mansion, so it's not in the studio atmosphere, so there is a bit of background noise in the coffee shop, but I hope you enjoy it still. Now, who is Ruth O'Reilly, very quickly?
She does tarot reading for a big part of her living, but there's a lot more to her than that, which we discover in the podcast.
Indeed we do. We'll see you after that, guys, and go with the news, won't we? So,
yeah.
See you more with it.
Cloaked in the shadows.
Okay, Amanda, where are we today?
We're in a coffee shop. In
Which
a secret location.
Secret location in the Central Mansion, and we've got a wonderful lady with us today, haven't we? Now, there's a good story behind this. I'm going to make her blush in a minute. But Amanda, you tell us first of all who our special guest is.
Our special guest is Ruth O'Reilly.
Now, how do you two know each other? Because this is not just a random person we tracked off the streets. Oh, we've done that before now.
We've known each other over 20 years now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we were kind of like pen pals in a way. I had a friend in Yorkshire, and I just wanted some more friends in that area because they used to do like really good outside gigs and stuff like that. And Amanda was just telling me about certain gigs that she'd been to and stuff like that, and we just got chatting, and we just stayed friends ever since. And Amanda was with me when I did my first kind of interview, you could say, to try and be on the radio.
Yeah, now, it's always better to clarify with yourself, obviously, like, find what, besides the topics we're going into today, you're also a radio DJ, aren't you, yourself?
Yes. Well, I think that the world of radio does lend itself to many mystical mishaps in itself, because I believe that it kind of makes you a little bit telepathic. It's something that's happened between me and my co-host, Nat, for sure. But we also run our shows from an old Victorian library, and me and Nat have been convinced that Victorian library was haunted until we used to come out of the studio, we'd hear all these little noises. Sometimes it was like a little thing was misplaced a little bit. So in the end, me and Nat decided we would talk to this mystical spirit of the station and explain, it's no longer a library, it's a radio station, but it's all good, we love books, and you're in safe hands. It stopped. All the noises, all the little sounds, they just stopped. So, one of the things that I want to talk about today is it a coincidence, or is it just synchronicity, or is there something more mystical going on behind it? But in that case, it was like there was a ghost moving around stuff and making noises, and once we befriended it stopped.
Amanda, what do you think?
I think there's definitely something into that.
There is. I know we've been in the studio recently when on your radio program. I felt.
Did you feel any vibes?
I felt it mile off. I stood outside doing that in the toilets, and I got not to say shivered on back, but the temperature dropped.
Yeah.
In a certain part of the room, and you knew there was something.
Yeah. You and
unorthodox.
Amanda were kind of like in the performance space, but I showed you where the most eerie vibes were, because when we first went there, we were in a different part of the building as our temporary studio, and that was like almost a year before we got our main studio where I interviewed you. And that's where, that's like that little corridor area between the kitchen and that first studio is where all the noises were happening, and then the performance area. But that's just one example from my radio life. But when I'm not radio producing and presenting, my other job is being an astrological tarot reader.
Yeah, this is part of the reason I wanted to talk to you today about this, because obviously people don't know what that is. You're going to tell us about what it is and and how you got into it.
Yeah, so I'm currently a member of TABI, which is the...
Not the cat.
Yeah, no, not the cat, no. Yeah, I'm secretly a member of the Secret Cat Association. Perfect. No, I'm sorry.
No, stop.
Yeah, so that's the Tarot Association of the British Isles. I'm a tarot consultant for Ask the Answer. As you can see here, I'm a customer favourite.
Oh wow!
And there's me in my disguise.
Oh wow! Wow!
So I've been doing that for the past 5 years now, and also another online tarot site called Social Psychics, and I've also been working with them for 5 years, and it's really been an interesting experience, and I love it. It really kind of, you learn as you go along. It heightens the experience, and it makes me more convinced of tarot and astrology than I was anyway. But the reason that I got into it, it's a little bit of a long story, but when I was a child, it's actually a story that I've written for the website as well, but I'll kind of like tell you a little bit more about it. So my mystical journey kind of began when I was under 10 years old, when my dog, well, he was my dad's dog, really, my dad and my sister's dog, but I had a very strong connection to him when that dog was when I was a baby. The dog used to look after me. He was always like very protective of me, and he was kind of like my first experience with dogs. So when he passed away, I wasn't aware of it. It's a very clever dog, black Labrador. Pure black Labrador. People were often really scared of him because he was just like this pure black Labrador, and he'd always bark at my pram and stuff. There was this one particular day. Now he'd got run over because my dad had moved. My mum and dad used to live quite close by, but my dad moved away from across the road. He moved to the other side of the city. Now this dog would walk all across the city to my house, knock on the door with his nose to come in, and we just had such a great bond. Wow. So one day I was in the kitchen when my mum was washing up, and all of a sudden I saw the dog just appeared in front of us. Then a strange thing happened where all the kitchen sounds left the room, and all I could see was the dog fixated at my mum who was washing up. Now I went to stroke the dog just as I normally would when we're in the kitchen. As I went to stroke him, he went whirling around in this black vortex and disappeared. At that moment, the sounds came back in everything, and it was like back to reality. I was like, whoa, what happened? I explained it to my mum straight away. I got my black crayons out, I drew little pictures of it, and it was like, what was that? Now, about 2 weeks after that, one of my dad's friends were like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about the dog and everything. And when they described when the thing had happened, it seemed to be that it was very soon after he'd got run over. So that was my first experience of a ghost, almost. There was one other experience that I had with a kind of a ghost situation where I very first heard of a ghost, I would say, when I was about 5 or 6, and I was playing with my mum's friends that were like neighbours. We went into this little room in a house. There was about 3 or 4 of us, and we saw this little girl there on the bed. Now this little girl had long white socks, and she was just like really quiet, but she was just like wanting to play with us. Now when I came out of that room with these children, we said, oh, who's that little girl? My mum's friend insisted that there was no little girl by that description there, or living with her, or visiting, or anything. But in that particular, and it was like, we spent like 5 minutes having a little chat, like playing with, and I was like, how could that person not be real? And they said to me, oh, well, maybe you saw a ghost. Now that was at 5 or 6. That was the first time I'd ever heard of the word ghost.
That's really my experience came along later on in life when we were teens, not 5 or 6.
Oh, have you had an experience with ghosts as well? Okay.
Not as nice an experiences as that.
Oh, okay.
I've come across one in Buxton about 10 years ago. This was.
Wow.
I went to it was an old workhouse. I went to go and have dinner at a guy who used to work with his parents' house. And they're going to bought this like a little mill house connected to the big mill.
Yeah.
And they were having trouble with the overseer because he'd been known for beating children to death.
Gosh.
And
strong energies there.
It wasn't nice energies either at all.
No.
So it was like that was pretty horrible. Yours is that's a nice experience, isn't it?
It
really?
was a nice experience, but the dog one there was like 2 or 3 years between that because I was like 6 or 7 when my dog had passed away. After I'd seen him that one time, it's like it opened this little portal for a year where I'd see more of him. Now a thing would happen, and then it went on to me seeing people. And these people that I would see, they were in very distinctive clothing. I did see one that was just laying there on my mum's bed, dressed in...
Is there any, and you always say with this, my family's, I'm not tracing my family yet, but there's always there's a connection to, not as if to the past, in your background, in your family. So has any of your mum or dad had any sort of experiences like that?
Well, my mum hadn't, but what she had was that she used to read playing cards as a party trick. She didn't know anything, not like the way I trained.
Oh, right.
She didn't know anything, but that was another thing that really intrigued me because sometimes the things that she would tell people, they would then turn around and say that they'd come true. So I was always kind of intrigued by that. But to continue with this, so I was seeing loads of these spirits, and it was mainly the dog that I would see, but then it went into different humans. Well, I saw someone from the 60s, like in the leathers, and what they usually used to do, there was only one of them that really, really freaked me out. That was like a shadow that appeared on the wall as well as an actual person. But what used to happen is, not with my dog, but with the people, they'd nearly always appear in the doorways kind of thing. It was like as if they had their particular place to appear, which was the doorways. And a thing would happen where they would just stare at me, and I'd just stare at them, I'd be frozen, and it's like the energies that was coming from them in that particular flat would always just it would stop me from screaming, it would stop me from speaking. I'd always get this kind of a sensation, it's like as if it was going, don't speak, don't say anything. So my mum was like, well, how come you're talking about seeing all these things? How come, you're never screaming or you're never doing anything? Now, one of my mum's friends across the road, her dad had actually lived in the area before these new build apartments were there. And there was one of the people that I mentioned, the 60s guy with the leathers and stuff like that. And there was another and he said, that sounds like someone that used to live around there. Then a little bit of belief was kind of coming in. There was another thing that I explained about the way it was like I saw this man in a tweed coat talking to someone, just walking past like that in our hallway, but it looks like as if they were walking past in a park or something like that. But it was very clear to me, it was very distinctive. And he was like, oh, there used to be a little park walkway thing there. So I'm always getting a little bit of less cynical. I mean, she was always big into the paranormal, but not
to the way you are. It's a big difference, isn't it?
It's a big difference. Well, I guess it's like a generational thing as well. It's just that she had the interest in it. But when I was saying I was seeing these things, she was kind of cynical of that, if you know what I mean. She was like, are you just saying, how can you just be so calm? And the thing was, the paranormal that she was into, I didn't really understand it, if that makes sense. And the very funny thing is, when I was little, I felt like as if, I just want to be normal, now I embrace my weirdness, but that time
I think you do as a child, don't you? Like, it applies to all three of us. Amanda, and I want to ask your opinion on this in a minute as well. You do when you're younger, you used to be like everybody else, but you realise you get the confidence when you get older.
Yeah.
Amanda, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of things when I was growing up where I didn't mention because I just thought people would just think I was a weirdo. And I was already a weirdo on top of that. So.
Yeah, you ended up marrying a big weirdo as well, didn't you? So, yeah. No, I agree.
It's all good.
Now, tell us something about how you got into your tarot card readings. Just cover that next, Jen.
Because it all follows in. Because when my mum was like really cynical, she took me to a psychic convention when I was very small. She took me there just to see would anyone be able to give her some advice? Because she was worried that I mean, it never affected me in school or anything. I just never spoke about it, you know. But she was a bit worried about that, so she didn't know who was best to get advice about it. So she took me to the psychic convention. The amazing thing was, as soon as I got there, this woman came running over. She was like, "Oh my God, she's such a spiritual little girl. She can see spirit, this and that." You know, I not said anything. I was as shy as anything, you know, so I didn't say anything.
What went wrong then?
So I was like, I was intrigued. I looked at where this woman had come from, and she'd come from this table where all the tarot cards were out there. She was a tarot reader. I took this woman, I was like, you know, this woman is a bit like my saviour. She believes me, she knows the truth. So I was really intrigued. Now the cards scared me. They scared the hell out of me, to tell you the truth. They've got like the devil, the tower, and it's like, you know, back when I was little, there wasn't lovely fancy oracle cards and nice artwork. It was just these really damn creepy cards.
Yeah,
you know?
you see, yeah, it's changed over time. You get like I know someone does angel card reading, and it's
Angels
pictures.
are nice.
The angels are quite nice, but you can see some. The cards themselves can be really horrible
Yeah,
pictures.
the tarot is brutal.
Yeah.
But I always kind of kept this intrigue, and I kept trying to like cut myself off from it, because I went to a Catholic school, and even though I'm not mega religious, just coming from an Irish family in a Catholic school, I think you get a little bit, evil cards, you know, I'm not gonna. But that was where I first saw the tarot, and it was where I first saw astrological charts as well. I saw a little bit of it on TV. But I kept kind of like getting drawn back into it. It was like something that never left me. I thought, I just want to know a bit more about it. I want to know a bit more about it. So in the end, I decided when I was about 12, between 12 and 13, I saw this magazine article about the playing cards. I thought, oh, here's the readings with the playing cards again. That's less scary. And my mum used to pretend to do it and have good results. So, you know, was that coincidence or was that the truth? But, you know, so, and the same thing happened. I took a pack of playing cards into school when it was like break time, whatever. People were like, oh, does so-and-so fancy me? And, you know, and really quiet and everything. But then, you know, later it would turn out that there was like something, I was picking out the right people that were attracted to the right people. I was picking out some of the right exam results.
Matchmaker Ruth.
Yeah. So
it's sort of like a nothing to do, didn't you?
No, nothing on me, no. There's an idea. The Astro Blind Date. Yeah, that's an idea. I'll look into that. So that was like the beginnings. You know, it was like, it made me a little bit popular at break time, so I enjoyed that. Then again, put it away for ages. Then when I was between 18 and 19, I just kind of made the decision, I'm going to really learn this. I want to know what it means when such and such is in the first house. I want to know more about it. So I did a diploma course. I found one that said cartomancy and tarot. I thought, this is great. I'll learn all about the playing cards. I'll ditch the tarot if I want. I'll just stick with the playing cards. In the end, I even predicted my own score on it. You know, I did the exams with the tarot. Well, that's the New Age Foundation, and I managed to even predict what I was going to get. So yeah. After that, in fact, the place where I met Amanda, like that pen pal kind of place.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I actually went on that is because I wanted to practice my readings out on total strangers, you know?
Yeah.
I remember you sending me a cassette tape actually of a psychic reading. That's how long ago it was. It was a cassette tape.
Amanda was one of my first guinea pigs, so that was why I went on that pen pal
People
place.
will notice now, they were guinea pigs in pen pals, and the guinea pig on the radio.
Was that a coincidence, or is there more
do you
to
always
it?
remember what you said to me first?
I do remember what I said.
Do you want
to
to tell people what you said about me when you first met me? The principal bit, anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know whether I said it to you when I first met you or whatever. But
I think you told it Amanda when I was on the loop.
I don't know if it's going to be the same thing, but the thing that I do remember is that when I first kind of like met you, I just got these weird feelings that the two of you were kind of like known each other in a past life.
I've told a few people I said to have you, and it's interesting because they always, what's your opinion on soulmates? Because I've had Amanda's the same theory I've had. You just don't have one. You can
Yes.
have 6, I heard.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to put a number on it really, because people get kind of confused between soulmates and twin flames, and that's like one of the popular questions that I always get. And usually when you get the 2 of Cups in the tarot and some 8s and stuff like that, they are signs of a proper connection. It's like if they come out in a spread and then the people are talking to me about their connection afterwards, I'm like, yeah, it always matches. It's kind of like this deep connection. It's that strong sense of familiarity. But what the thing about soulmates is, you do have different soulmates to teach you different things, and the twin flame thing can be really complicated, because the twin flame thing is almost like, it's like you've directly found your other half, and you are so similar. When you are so similar to a particular partner, it can sometimes cause a little bit of friction. It can be, and sometimes it kind of transpires that they don't want to stay with you forever, and you end up kind of like,
I'll leave.
Bye. See ya.
Well, we don't know. I've never done your compatibility. Ooh.
Oh no, I wouldn't. Probably cause a divorce.
But even what I say about all these things, even though I'm really well invested in it, I still like to keep that little bit of I don't know whether I'd call it cynic, but more realism. I'd say that all these things are great guidelines, and it's a real great buzz when you find that you're connecting. Sometimes numerology as well is quite good for that, because I've done many courses.
Amanda mentioned you've done a Reiki course, is that correct? Or
I
Reiki?
vaguely remember you saying something about it.
So yes, I use Reiki not so much for healing, but to protect my own energies in the readings, because when you get really into it, it can drain you at times. But what I found, this is another amazing thing about energetics and stuff like that. Once I started to incorporate a little bit of Reiki, which is just that it's like Reiki on, Reiki off. That's a simple thing that I do to start a session and end a session. As soon as I incorporated that, the clients don't know that I'm doing it, because the stuff that I do is all online or over the phone. I don't do the face-to-face ones. The reason that I don't do the face-to-face ones and stuff like that is because I don't ever want to be accused of cold reading. The reason that I got so invested in doing all the courses, they call me like a master of mantic arts because I did so many courses, but the reason that I did all those courses was because I never wanted to feel like I was fooling people,
Can I get it clear now? So I agree with you. It's like you want people to understand you, and obviously, like I said, treat you seriously. It's something to do, like you've got to cover all kinds of backgrounds, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I do it, And with the Reiki thing, as soon as I started doing that to kind of protect my energies, I found that I begun to get clearer information for the clients. They were going, that's spot on. And many used to start saying to me, I actually feel like I've been healed by this. I thought I was just going for a reading, but I feel like I've been healed by this. Now, they didn't know I was doing anything, so there is something in Reiki. It's a very powerful energy, the symbols.
Yeah.
So
I've got a story that I'll tell you about that sometime off microphone. I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
It's how to piss somebody off without meaning to, right? So, but that's
Right.
off mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my cousin in Ireland, she used to work in a publishing house, and she got these witches in one time that had written a book. Yeah, and they were good at Reiki as well. And their Reiki was so powerful that my cousin was like a meter away, and they just did the hand. They just did the hands like that, and she had burn marks on her back. So some people have got very powerful Reiki abilities. I've not gone to that level. I'm only like a level 1 or something.
I think I need to find someone like that to get rid of my back and neck pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda, you'd use certain people you don't want to speak to on fire, wouldn't you? Oh God.
So yeah, and I think that with all the readings that I've done, what I found that every reader has got their own way of doing it, and some people used to say, in fact I remember James Stanage from the radio, which was one of the things that me and Amanda used to have in common. He used to have some mystical people on his radio show, and they were the radio shows that I loved to listen to. It's one of the reasons why I got into radio as well, just because I thought, I want to do this kind of thing, get people on and stuff like that, but it made me more interested in the mystical stuff as well. And he used to always say, tarot readers are 10 a penny, which I hate them saying that, but thing is, every reader's got their own way of doing it. So my way is mainly not to do them face to face, mainly to do them. But what you'll find is you get some people that are really shy, so you've got to do it on IM, like instant messaging. Some that you've got to do it on email. The email ones will be more detailed, they'll be more about the compatibility and stuff. And then you've got the ones that just get the readings over the phone. I don't do Zoom either, because then again, you can still get the kind of the electrical things, the cold.
I've heard it before. It impacts what you're trying to read, doesn't it? I've heard it before.
So just the audio. What I found now as I've gone on is that it's developed from just the theoretical to me really getting into the energies. So now I've got so used to it that someone can literally ring in and they'll just say, "Hi there, can I have a reading, please?" They can do it in the most boring voice, No offence to anyone that I've ever read for. But as soon as I hear it, I will know, are they having problems at work? Are they having relationship problems? I can even hear whether the person is going through something like an affair or something like that. And that's how I've kind of like fine-tuned it. And then my cards will kind of confirm it. The other thing that happens with the cards is some of these people, what I tell everyone is I don't like to scam anyone. So I never want anyone to be reliant on having a reading with me. But people can become reliant on it, which is something that I never really realised. I always thought, a person will have a reading, like a one-off, they'll go on the merry way and that'll be it. But people can become like drawn into wanting more. So I always say you're not really supposed to ask the same question too often. And one of the reasons that I say this is when I was scared of tarot, one of the first oracles I ever tried was the I Ching. Now I don't know if you've ever tried the I Ching.
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
You've heard of it, Amanda.
Okay, so
if our listeners don't know it, you better tell us briefly about it.
So the I Ching is an old Chinese philosophy, and it's called the Book of Changes. So there's 64 hexagrams in that, and you basically get yarrow sticks or coins. I've always done it with coins because I've never really had the yarrow sticks. It's a very convoluted way. You can get apps with this now, but I used to like shake the coins to make these lines. So what you're hoping to do is make like this, get this motif that'll have 3 lines, will have 6 lines, so many lines will be broken, some will be full. And if you've got like broken lines, you know that you can reverse it and look at there's one side to this story, or there could be another side to the story. Anyway, that was one of the first things I started on when I was about between 12 and 14. Now, if you it's like there's a spirit in it. Honestly, there is, because if you ask the same question to that thing like 2 or 3 times, it will literally, the next thing you'll go through all the bother trying to make you shake your hexagram, and next thing it'll go, stop asking me the same question. I was really freaked out by this. It knew that it was the exact same question.
It does this, I get it, but it's weird, isn't it? Sometimes it's like, connection or that. Amanda, what's your opinion? I'm talking too much here.
I don't know. I'm just interested in listening and finding out more.
Conscious of the time here today, obviously now I'm going to try to stop wrapping this part up, Ruth, anyway, in a few moments.
Oh, okay.
And we will get you in for part 2.
Oh,
the reasons it will come obvious at a later date. But tell us about where would you like this to lead you to next, Ruth, then, or your creativity, what you're doing then, your cards and stuff like that.
With my cards.
Yeah, your cards and your stuff. Would you like to go more courses? Or?
What would I like to do?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have done a lot of. I could go very, very much more extensively into the astrology if I wanted to. But I think where I would like to, from a creative perspective, one of the creative things that I'd like to do is, to be honest with you, I want to make all this more accessible to people. I want to simplify it. When I got into it, I was like, oh, what's that? I'm lucky that I got into it when I was younger, in a way, because I always had that curiosity from my experiences.
And for that reason, you encourage people, don't you, to if you follow your nose, I always say. If it's there, do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I found that everything was like transferable skills as well, because like for ages I tried to fight against it. Like you say, you just want to be normal. You don't want to be in. There's nothing that gives you more imposter syndrome than like telling people stuff about being mystical or psychic. I'm a bit averse to calling myself a psychic. I don't say that. I just say I'm an astrological tarot consultant. You know, you could be saying that I'm telling you psychic information, but I feel that we've all got these abilities. I want more people to be aware of that. I want more people to tap into their own innate abilities, because we all have them. And I want to simplify the process for people. So creative ideas I find is like creating my own course maybe about this, writing a book.
Yeah, you've been telling a mutual friend of ours. I mean, you've been talking about that with him, haven't you, as well? So yeah. So our mutual friend is like keen for me to write a book, but there's so much to write about it. I'm thinking about like doing a small book to begin with, but putting out feelers. Then I can know. I'm interested to know what questions people have. What questions people have about all this mystical stuff, and then it can help me to fine tune what I would do. So there's lots of ideas around it. I would like to get more into healing in a way, but I seem to do an indirect healing. Sometimes even listening can be a bit of a healing experience as well. I think you do, like you're doing that sort of field you're in, it reveals itself to you naturally. I think where you want to go, and it's like I believe the same with my writing. I mean, Amanda, you don't know where it's going to lead you to, and just go with like a rabbit hole.
Yeah, always be in the right place at the right time. Because like there were certain things where I've tried to shy away from it. I've tried to not be in the field, but I spent like a year and a half after I finished looking after my mum, because I've been a carer for my mum for a number of years. I'd not like properly been in the field of work. So then when I got back into the field of work, I had to do telesales. So I was in this telesales environment. I was good with the people. I managed to stay there. You know, you've told me that you've been in telesales as well.
Hate it. Won't do it again. It's the most. You're either good at it or you're crap at it. And I was borderline.
Well, you know, I was medium with it, but what I found was the company, I won't mention any names or anything like that, but they did kind of like shaft me out of lots of deals and just like, you know, take commission and all sorts.
That sort of field you're in, unfortunately, it's dog eat dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was like the Wolf of Wall Street, really was. But what came from that was that sometimes I'd be on the phone to someone, I'd be calling them up, you know, it's terrible. They usually put the phone down. They didn't used to put the phone down on me as much, and that was why I got to stay there and talk to them. I'd get all these messages coming into my head that I wanted to tell them, like I feel this and I feel that. I was really like held back from it, and I actually needed that frustration. I never knew that was possible, to like connect with someone on the phone and start to feel like I was getting all these things that I needed to tell them. But obviously the circumstances, I couldn't tell them. I was like, I feel like I need an outlet for this.
Yep.
We'd have meetings, we'd have like these training meetings about sales for that.
Oh,
and
God, yeah, I've done that. They used to call it, well, the place I used to work at was climbing a mountain.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's one of the technical terms.
What they didn't say was, you got top mountain, they shoot your section.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, no, it's brutal.
And then you go on the top mountain, you're going straight back down.
Oh, push you off to them.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's used to get.
They build you up to bang you back down. So, you know, we'd be in those meetings, and all of a sudden, things would happen, like on... I mean, it's another big thing that I want to talk about, but we're kind of out of time, but it could be an anniversary of my mum's passing or something like that. And next thing, it was like the woman, our boss, or one of the other people started singing things or saying things that only me and my mum kind of used to have jokes about, you know. And it was like everything used to change sometimes in these meetings. And sometimes in these meetings, one of the things that would happen would be that I'd say, no, this doesn't make sense for this job. If I was doing tarot and astrology for a living or something like that, it would make sense, but it doesn't make sense in this job. So it was like I ended up filtering everything in a certain way, and it just kind of like went into this vortex of like getting the information that I needed to get into this field as well. So it's very scary to become self-employed in a psychic environment as well.
Yeah,
one of the worst.
I think it's interesting because I'll come on to it next time. I want to do a part 2 with you anyway, because I'm conscious of the time. But I know people down the right way and make a living off it. But in the Manchester area where we are, it's an area that's changing. It's not at that sort of level yet, I don't think.
Well, there was actually a big article in the Manchester Evening News yesterday about a lady who's become a tarot reader just since the COVID phase of time. She's doing really well on TikTok.
I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Yeah, send me the link.
I'll
love to speak to her, definitely.
Yeah. But I don't really like all the fads always that you get on TikTok and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You know,
it's-
it's very cliche.
it's-
It can sometimes give us a bad name in a way.
I'm a bit dicky on TikTok now,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure it's our age, doing the three of us, or it's just TikTok itself.
Well, yeah, but I can see how it's like a good entry point for some people to get to know, you know, more about the mystical world as well, which is the good thing. But it is becoming more popular, and the reason now that it's becoming more popular is because uncertainty has reached an all-time high since the pandemic and stuff like that. So people are consulting more. They've got job insecurity, people's relationships are suffering over it. So they are consulting tarot readers and astrology. The thing that I find, the thing that makes me different is I'm not just a tarot reader. I honestly believe that you need to incorporate the astrology with it instead as well, because when you do this, you can get very good timings. The cards will guide you to the timings, and people always want timings. You know, you can say, oh, he feels this way about you, and that's fine. But you know, when it comes down to it, people want to know when is contact likely to happen, when is such and such a thing going to change, and that's you have to include the astrology with it as well. And the amazing thing with tarot is you'll get the moon card out, and you'll find that it comes out just a couple of days before the full moon. Bang, you say, I think you're going to get contact in this week. You know, that's one of the things that comes into play.
Yeah, completely.
And then it's like, if you're a skeptic, you'll just say, oh, that's a coincidence. To me, it's not a coincidence because it's happened to me so many times. But I get that, you know, and I respect anyone that's cynical. So I don't mind, actually. And that's like one of the reasons I want to write more extensively about it as well. But that's another thing. But my particular talent with it kind of accelerated after I met Uri Geller. So when I met Uri...
Yeah, man, told me about Uri Geller. Well, do go about Uri Geller. We're going to have to wrap up part is part one. But please tell us about Uri Geller then. And we're going to use that as our conclusion point for today.
Yeah, so I met Uri Geller when I was 16 at a book signing. It was a fluke. I got the last 2 tickets for me and my mum. I never really used to speak out at this stage, but I asked a real cynical question to him. I was like, how do we know that you're not putting ideas in our minds and then we're saying it to you, and then you know, like I really challenged him.
Best way people like that. Push them.
Yeah. So, because the reason, back to the radio again, he used to be on the telly a lot when my mum was young, and she had a hairdryer and a couple of radios fixed by him through the telly. She was convinced of it, and that's why she wanted to see him. So when I got these last 2 tickets, it was amazing because she was convinced. And even my granddad's watch, like, oh my God, Uri Geller's fixed this through the TV.
Yeah, you heard it at the time. I do remember my mum going on a lot about it, and my dad's exact words were, "He's talking a load of rubbish."
Yeah. So it was really interesting to go and meet him. And after the book signing, he was like, you ask really good questions. I actually feel like I owe a lot to Uri Geller for he's the one that's brought out this Frankenstein monster asking everyone questions, because he said, you ask really good questions. And I went, whoa, really? So we had that book signing. He was signing everyone's books and shaking everyone's hands. Now, I was in such a buzz. I went away, all on a high, and I didn't shake his hand. Now, my mum was behind me, and she thought in her mind, he shook everyone's hands but Ruth's. He got that from my mum's head, and he went, Ruth. What he said to my mum, what's her name? She went, Ruth. He went, Ruth, come back. As he did that, a slow motion thing happened where I felt like I was just stuck in my place and pulled back to him to shake his hand. It was a very powerful energy.
Wow.
That man's got the most powerful handshake you will have ever experienced. Once you've shook Uri Geller's hand, no one's hand will ever feel as powerful again.
Wow. No.
And then, you know, I never thought you could catch that powers of any sort were contagious, but it was like, now all the electrical things, I really wanted to get my picture taken with him. The picture of everything in the background stage where we were, everything came out except me and Uri. So I was so intrigued by that I contacted the Manchester Evening News. They put that in their paper, and he got it for his website as well, and it's on the website for years. And they had this big headline, Vanishing Uri.
Well, did he make you vanish along with him as well?
Yeah, there was nothing there, only the curtains, only the stage curtains, on the background of everything, but not us.
Wow.
Maybe he took you to another plane of existence.
I think so. But I think I got a weird way with with electrical stuff, because again, do you remember when we went to that mastermind and I insisted on sitting in that mastermind chair? Well, again, we came out like ghosts. Well, you could see it a bit better than the Yori thing, but a similar thing happened between me and John Humphreys. Yeah, when I was there when I was there in the mastermind chair. So after that, it was like, yeah, I felt a bit different. I had a massive surge of confidence as a teenager that I never had before. I was like buzzing in a way that, you know, I did like Uri Geller, but I wasn't like a big fan of him as a teenager. You know, not like this, but I got really buzzing with a newfound confidence. But then the thing was, I got this kind of sense of an image would appear in my mind just a few minutes before it happened. I moved into this new flat on my own because it was a way of trying to get my mum some independence from me being her carer. So I moved into my own flat, and as I was approaching this flat, I'd only just moved in. I had a really nosy neighbour, and he kept going, "Get the net curtains up." So I had this very almost photographic image in my head of a post-it note that he had put on my door. Now, I didn't know he'd put a post-it note on my door, but in my mind I saw it really clearly, you know, that he was saying something on this post-it and what he was saying, and I couldn't believe it. Got up the stairs to my flat, there was the thing. I was like, oh my God, I just had that a few minutes ago. After that, it ended up being other things. I'd see a person, and then a couple of minutes I would just see them walking down. I got very strong, a thing that I would almost call clairvoyance in a way, like flashes.
Yeah, and it's like it's a trigger gate to what happens next. I mean, that sort of thing. So unfortunately, we are out of time.
Okay.
Sorry, guys. People wondering why I've had to finish it now, because the three of us have met to go down to a writing group, so we're going to have to scoot, unfortunately, guys. But Ruth will be back. There's much more to be got said yet. I want to thank you today, Ruth.
No worries.
Thank you, Amanda.
No, thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Cloaked in the shadows.
You know something, Amanda? When we were going up and playing that before, I didn't realise we'd actually done nearly 40 minutes of Ruth there, did we?
Yeah, and we could have gone on for much longer.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where nothing to hide in it. We're actually in an improvised theatre group at the moment, and Ruth's in that same group with us, isn't she? So, and we're similar at that time, so but the plan is we will be doing a part 2 of Ruth, and there's plenty more to discuss. Watch this space. Now, on to news. Should we start off with time travel?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this one came up probably a few sources for reason, but a gentleman called, well, this picture gentleman, Ian Alec. Ian Alec himself, who will read out the news with this as well. Quite interesting this actually, because he's a reputedly a time traveller from 2671, right? Who's gone to TikTok, hasn't he? And started taking all these claims out of this and pieces and videos, and we're going to come on to sort of the ones that he predicted what was going to be happening in the next couple of months, okay? Now, there's some interesting ones here. He's been a bit sceptical because there's people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a few people on TikTok claiming to be time travellers, and I don't think anything's ever been proven.
Yeah, we'll discuss one that I posted last week, actually, okay? These were... I'm going to read out the things he's claimed, okay? So we're going to treat it serious. I want people to hear this. I've got mixed feelings about this, okay?
Yeah.
March 23rd. 8,000 people will be selected by the aliens to save the Earth.
Okay, well that's passed, so they've not told us who they are, have they? They've not come
Unless
forward.
it's been kept hidden.
Yeah.
That's the other conspiracy theory.
It's been... It's not. It's not.
When you've got a tsunami, of 750 feet in height will hit San Francisco on the 15th of May. They were looking for San Francisco. You might want to move away quite quick if that's true.
Yeah.
But that's not the eye. And more than 2,000 people will die. And you got June the 18th, 7 people will drop from the sky at once.
An aeroplane or parachutes not going down or what?
Not been revealed, yeah, I don't. I think the hint in that prediction saying, like, you ever heard of the film The David Bowie film? Those words.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It doesn't forever. It does literally. But no, that's I think the indication is there. And 18th of August, scientists will find a remedy for skin cancer. Then you've got December the 3rd, crystal will be found that will cure many diseases. And the 29th of December, new organs will start growing through stem cells.
Yeah.
I can believe those ones.
Yeah.
And been publicised, can potentially find a remedy of skin cancer a couple of years on the way.
Yeah.
But now, what I talked to you about this man today is, you've said it already, that there's a number of these sort of accounts on TikTok and other Twitter and stuff like that. Opinions?
Well, and you've not mentioned this, but we had a little look at the video before we started recording this, and there was one that stood out to me, and I heard you, Snigger, about scientists combining humans and penguins.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out what the name would be, and I think if you put them both together, I think it's Penman.
It's like it's. Double and to be honest with you, there's people quizzing a lot of this sort of stuff straight away, because like this date's gone past and these things haven't happened unless they've been kept hidden. I've got very mixed feelings about it, if I'm honest. It just, what do you want to think?
It would have to come true and be proven before I'd believe it, because there's quite a few people who are getting hundreds of thousands of followers or even millions of followers claiming to be time travellers, and I think it's just like they somehow get money from it. I don't know how TikTok works, but I'm assuming there's some revenue they get from doing this.
It does, it feels like it as well. We're not here to dispute, obviously, the facts is like it may or may not be true, but at the moment it's one where you're right, there's something, they're getting something from it. Whether it's just like they're having a laugh at the world. Because if you look at the video now, I'll just show you here. You're getting that there now. We're looking at the videos, last two videos that have just gone down and uploaded yesterday. One's got 64,200 views. Then you've got 73,000.7k. And so you get one, you can see there, for example, last week's way into the future. It says 500,000 people, then they get millions and millions. Yeah. It does ask questions, and it's what I'm going to ask really. Ask you about it, Amanda, honestly. Is the human race that desperate to find out the future that they will believe things like this?
I think so. I think if you want to believe it enough, you'll start seeing it and say, oh, well, this happened, so that's what he meant. Even if it's not even remotely close, you'll find a way to make it not.
Yeah, but you think of the crunch roll of Nostradamus, don't Nostradamus?
Yeah.
A lot of his predictions, double Dutch, are really, really vague.
Yeah, you can take whatever meaning you want from it.
Yeah, this is like TikTok's the new version of it, really, isn't it? It's like his predictions was bolder than dreams, weren't it? Stuff like that. You wonder whether it was all just whatever he put down on a piece of paper, but there are thousands of pages of this stuff. This, I would be interested in knowing, obviously, this big one, for example, here, is if he's from the future, where's his proof?
Yeah.
That's something like these are all the facts and stuff we'd love to see, wouldn't you, like bits and bits, the images you bring back as well. That we haven't done that, quite interesting. But you do see pictures, don't you, like on a different note of it, of supposedly set in the Second World War, people with mobiles.
Yeah. But with Photoshop, it's so hard to tell if it's real or if someone's just photoshopped the phone into someone's hand.
Yeah, that's what you wonder about Photoshop's such an advanced package nowadays. That's why this thing we're talking about here with this time travel thing, personally, I believe there is such a thing as time travel. We obviously don't know it because we're not that advanced yet.
I have heard people talk about it as in like a bit like meditating, but like your mind travels, but your body don't physically travel.
Yeah, heard that myself. It's like you look at stuff like levitation, don't you? Because I've done full levitation before, and I've lived your soul in the body. And who's not to say if you get into that sort of deep consciousness, you can travel back in time like that.
But then you wouldn't be able to physically alter anything because it's not your physical body.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, right? Like, so like that could be like, you could be like, there's been various sci-fi novels in the predictions where you can go back as a ghost and see the past, but you can't actually influence it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think there's a lot of stuff we don't understand, but for every genuine thing that's out there, there's going to be thousands of stuff like this. So I just take them with a pinch of salt, to be honest.
No, I think you have to, because you find the problem with the internet itself is it's so easy, and I'm going to be through to do like any other shit, basically. Because you look at that, you constantly getting reports on Facebook of what fake news, don't you?
Yeah.
This, you could argue, it's fake news again. If someone has had a laugh at the world on it, and it's got what, 1.5 million, it's got 420,000 followers on it.
Yeah.
It's insane. It shows you really what the world's like, and it's strange in the best of times, isn't it? So. Anyway.
Okay. So on to my first piece of news. And this is actually quite local to us in the grand scheme of things. There's a pub which is also haunted called Ye Olde King's Head in Chester, and it's said to have a haunted doll called the Greystone, among other objects.
I've heard of this actually.
Yeah, and this has been seen moving and talking on camera audibly through electronic devices. And it says the doll is inside a circle of salt. Visitors are warned not to step into the circle. 50 different reports of people hearing the Greystone talk have been made. One of these was a paranormal investigator called Danny Moss, when he asked the doll what it wanted, and the doll responded, "Your eyes." Which is a bit freaky if it really did that, because I'd be out of it. And there's also a haunted clown doll that's chained in a box. And there's said to be 14 spirits haunting the pub, and many others that pass through, and a portal that's located in the bathroom of room 5, because people can stay there as well.
This is a very old pub, this one, mind you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking that, I know we're going away this year to York, but I'm thinking one year we're going to have to go there.
Well, I mean, I've been in that pub, so it does ring a bell. I've heard that story. I've heard the story before about that pub, so I really wish we had a brother with me today. Gavin lives near Chester, doesn't he? He's the crew.
Yeah.
I'm asking if he's been there. He probably would have been with me, James. He's like, I know that I haven't liked, so. But yeah. What do you think of ghosts then? Do you believe in ghosts?
I think when you've got so many reports, there's got to be something to it. And I've not seen the videos, but if they're saying that there's actually like audio recordings and videos and things, and people saying they've seen it, it's like it gets harder to think, well, everybody's like it, and everything's doctored.
I think personally it exists, but I don't think it's quite what you think it is.
But if I was stood there and the doll said it wanted my eyes, I'm not there screaming.
Yeah, that's a ball game, that was. Well, I said fortunately, I was talking about levitation before. And I said I've done full levitation by accident, going up my roof in my flat. And there were some pretty nasty spirits out there in this. There's a lot I don't really understand. And that's why we go recently with ghosts telling that they definitely are. It's just some sort of like, they've been said before, haven't you, like, your spirit can't really want you've done the processing it needs to do.
Yeah.
I reckon I've heard one talk saying that's why some spirits stay down there, because they've not been able to do what they need to do to move to the next level. But I've also heard it like, it's like they're called snapshots of some trauma that haunt that stays in an area. And that's why you like video clips, isn't it, almost? Or...
Yeah. For anyone that's seen the series Supernatural, they call it death echoes, whether that's the actual name for it, you know, if it's real, or in real life, or if there's a different term for it, I don't know. But that's the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah. But yeah, there's plenty of good stuff about that one. That's a good story, that one. Okay. Should I do my second story?
Yeah.
I'm on to a bit of a more science news now, okay? And I do have an image to show on this one as well. This came up Reuters a couple of days ago in Amsterdam, actually. A giant meatballs were made from flesh, built like DNA from the DNA of an extinct woolly mammoth.
Okay.
And it was unveiled on Nemo and Science Museum in the Netherlands. And it was created by an Australian cultural meat company, Wow, which was promising that it was not an April Fool's joke. Said it wanted to get people talking about cultivated meat, calling it a move towards alternative real meat in the future. Which makes it really interesting, isn't it, that?
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what they said was, they really wanted to create something that was totally different from what you get now. the Valve founder, Tim Noglesmith, told Reuters, adding like an additional reason to use a mammoth is scientists believe that the animal's extinction was caused by climate change.
Yeah.
You think about it, the world has changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Quite a few times. And the meatball was made of sheep cells in search of a singular mammoth gene called myoglobin or something like that. I'll pronounce that completely wrong.
Yeah.
But instead it was like, that's what I thought. I want to show you the picture of this.
Yeah.
Tell me what you think. That's it there.
Yeah, it's hard to describe for people that are listening. It doesn't really look like a meatball, does it?
It's a big ball. It's like, you can argue like a ball of bread in it almost.
Yeah.
It's a big like a circular ball inside the carrot tube like that. But no, what I wanted to ask you about that was, I found it very interesting because obviously, like, as food becomes more of a problem for this world, obviously we're trying to rely on nature, aren't we? Who's not to say going forward in future generations they're going to space?
Yeah.
They've given all this sort of food that's processed to such a level. Like they just click a button or something like that, and the robot makes it in minutes.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're heading for. It's what is food.
I think so, maybe, but then it makes it a bit boring, doesn't it?
What I mean, you'd rather be running around chasing, say an ox somewhere, like, come on, my red ox now or something, yeah. But no, I don't know, I found it really interesting. I wanted to show you that. The thought was like, obviously there's talk going around that they're experimenting with DNA to bring back extinct animals and stuff.
Yeah.
If you've got that built from a woolly mammoth, that's been dead. They've been extinct for, what, thousands of years, haven't they?
Yeah.
Who's not to say then, if they've got it to that stage, they could not revive animals?
Yeah.
Who's not to say we could grow another body? And have our consciousness or brain put into it? There's a lot, you know what I mean? A lot of stuff going around, isn't there? That sort of thing, like just from that little bit of thing alone itself. Right then, what do you think before we wrap up?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Okay.
Okay, so my second and final piece of news, and this is possibly good news for people who are in long-distance relationships. A group of students in China have invented a device that can be used by people in a long-distance relationship. It allows couples to replicate the feeling of kissing when they are not in the same place. And an extract from the article that I got this from that explains how it works says the 3D silicone gadget has a mouth-shaped module and is triggered through a kiss, which is then transferred to the mouth on the other side. It mimics the movement, temperature and pressure of the kiss using sensors and links to forums via Bluetooth and an application.
That's weird. That's really weird. What made you want to do that, bro? Pick up our stories.
We've not, well, I know you've covered AI a little bit, but I've not really covered AI on the news space, so I was looking for news in that sort of area.
Yes, that's a fascinating idea. Who's many said if you didn't really like with the way AI has been developed and stuff. We talked about police, didn't we? A couple of episodes back, didn't we? Robot police and that's just more like on my unorthodox side. Interesting. Who's not saying what they're going to do next?
And how long before they start using it on OnlyFans in other places other than lives.
Yeah, because you're gonna get robot strippers coming like that, all OnlyFans and stuff like that. So, yeah. No, but it's like it does say quick. You know what it feels like? Me, like you could almost like say you could do like a temporary clone of yourself, couldn't you? Leave it there with your partners with a kiss or something or whatever if you're away working.
Well, that'd be a more advanced version because this is just a little thing that goes on your phone. But I suppose this is where it all starts, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. You don't know where like technology's going nowadays. Sometimes we're only at the very early stages of the robot technology, the AI itself. Anyway, it's been interesting to see where it goes next. Anyway, okay, it's a bit weird to finish up.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 men pleaded guilty after being accused of stuffing fish at weights at a tournament. 2 men have been accused of stuffing. This came on the Associated Press through NPR a couple of days ago. 2 men have been accused in America of stuffing fish with dead weights and fish fillets in an attempt to win thousands of dollars in an Ohio fishing tournament. And the cheating surfaced in September last year when Lake Ernie Walleye Trail Tournament director Jason Fisher became suspicious when the fish turned in by 2 people were significantly heavier than other typical walleyes. So it just shows you really, doesn't it, with people like that sort of thing, what they will do. Right. And then a crowd of people at Gordon Park in Cleveland watched as fish cut out the wall, cut one of the walleyes open, and weights of walleye fillet stuffed inside this fish.
Okay.
That's why it's like, just like, it shows you really what people will do sometimes, doesn't it? Like, and you think nowadays, the way you've got like technology, you've got more and more and more, you won't really get away with cheating and stuff like that, will you?
No.
Strange, really.
When the stranger.
Exactly so. Well, they give up as part of the plea made. This was in Vegas. The 2 people pleaded guilty of cheating and unlawful ownership of wild animals and agreed to a 3-year suspension of their fishing licenses. And one of them also agreed to give up his base boat, which is like his fishing boat, worth $100,000. And they've only sentenced him 11th of May. It just proves that crime does not pay in this sort of world like that. You're going to go get caught sooner or later. So.
Hardcore fishing.
Fishing and wishing, definitely so. Right, well, that's my news, Amanda. That's your news as well, isn't it? Yeah, not good, guys. As you can see this time, we could have had 2 guests on this time, but it didn't happen, did it, Amanda? So we're not going to make any bold predictions about next month yet. Watch your space. We're hoping definitely we'll have at least 1 guest on, maybe 2. There's people we have been speaking to, and I've got a few people I want to look at besides chapter 9 to further about. But we should be back.
Cloaked in the shadows.